Let's begin with the supplies that you're going to need for this project. First of all, of course, you're going to need some yarn. And for this project, you need worsted weight yarn in the color of your choice. And I have chosen Caron Simply Soft. I really like this yarn for this project because it is a lighter worsted weight and it also has a nice sheen to it. It catches the light really well, which I think is really nice for the flower. Next, you're going to need something like this. I found these in the floral wedding department of Hobby Lobby, and I thought they really resembled the middle of the flower really well. Obviously, if you don't have a Hobby Lobby or you can't find these at your Hobby Lobby, you might be able to find something similar. For the flower, you'll only need one. They're sold in this cluster, and you only need one of these. But if you can find something like this at your local craft store, this is what you'll want to look for to do the center. Next, you're going to need some red pipe cleaner. And actually, you're going to want pipe cleaner in the color of your yarn. So you want to match the pipe cleaner to your yarn so that the center of the flower is the same. Then next, you're going to need scissors, large eye tapestry needle, and for this project, you're going to want a US 7 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. So our flower is going to consist of 5 petals. And the way that we're going to work these petals, they will be joined one to another. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to make one petal and then we'll chain directly into the next petal and work that petal. Then when that one's finished, we'll chain for the third one and so forth, so that when we're done with all 5 petals, they will already be connected, and that should make the sewing process a lot easier and hopefully more enjoyable. So we're going to go ahead and start with a slip knot. Place it on the hook and pull tight, and we're going to chain 6. Okay, then we're going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So this is the first chain, the second chain. This is the one we're going to go into. Place a single crochet and then a single crochet in the next 4 chains for a total of 5 single crochet. Okay, that's row 1. All right, now we're going to chain 1 and turn. Chain 1 and turn your work. All right, now the way the petal is going to be worked from here is we're going to start placing single crochets across this row, but instead of chaining 1 and turning at the end, we're actually going to continue going around the bottom or the underside of the foundation chain. So we'll be working into this portion. Then when we get to here, we'll chain 1 and turn and work back this way, so it will form in this U shape. Okay, so for row 2, we're going to go ahead and place a single crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to do 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. That brings us to the very last single crochet of that row, or stitch of that row. See, we have 1 stitch left here. So in this last stitch, we're going to place 3 single crochet. This one can sometimes be tricky to get into, especially if you have tight tension like I do. All right, so that's 1. We're going to place 2 more in that same stitch. So 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to continue working along this bottom edge of the foundation chain, and it can get tricky in here. So if you look closely, you can see this stitch or opening right here is where I just placed my 3 single crochet. So the very next stitch is right here. And that's where I'm going to go in. And that's 1. Okay, and pulling it apart helps you to kind of see because it'll open everything up. So here's the next one. And that's 2, 3, 4, and 1 more. And this one actually goes into that original slip knot, which kind of gets loose when you work into it, so then you gotta pull it back down. Okay, so that completes row 2. All right, now for row 3, you're gonna chain 1 and turn. All right, now we're gonna work up along this edge, around, and back down the other side. So we're gonna begin with 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and that brings us to the 2 single crochet on the end. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to place an increase in each of these, which means you're going to place 2 single crochet in each stitch. So 1, 2. Now you're going to do that same thing in the next one. 1, 2. All right, now you're going to work down the back side. All right, so you're going to place 1 single crochet in each of these stitches across, and there should be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're on the last round, or row, excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. So this is the center of the petal. Now we're going to create the edge of the petal. Now, if you're familiar with the hibiscus flower, you know that the edge of each petal is very wavy or ripply. So what we're going to be doing is cramming extra stitches into each stitch across, and then that will cause the edge to fold or buckle, and that's what will give us that wavy look. So we're going to go ahead and place 3 half double crochet in each stitch of this round. So that's the first one, but we're going to go into that same one again 2 more times. So a total of 3 in that first stitch. So that first stitch is worked now. So in the next stitch, 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Now that's the second stitch worked. And you can kind of see where it's taking up quite a bit of room. Once we get more stitches worked, you'll see it's starting to wrinkle. Okay, so let's do the third stitch now. 3 half double crochet in that one. 2, 3. Next stitch. 1, 2, 3. And you'll repeat this all the way around. Okay, we're working down the other side now. Okay, we've got 3 stitches left. Now we're coming up on our last stitch, so 3 half double crochet in that last one. 1, 2, and 3. Now that completes petal 1. I'm going to keep that slip knot pulled tight. Okay, so as you can see, the edge has that wavy, crinkled look. All right, now instead of cutting our yarn here, remember we said we're going to go right into the next petal. Okay, so right here at this point, we're going to go ahead and chain 6 for a new petal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. 1, 2, and in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. Okay, now we're on row 2 of the second petal. So we're going to place 4 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. That brings you to the last stitch on this row, and remember we place 3 in that last one to help us turn that corner. And this one's the one that can be tricky. And see, I didn't get my hook all the way in there, so I'm going to pull it back out. And we'll try that again. Okay, I think I got it that time. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're working down the bottom of the chain, or the underneath of the chain. So again, if you look at this opening, this is where I put my 3 single crochet. So we want to go into that very next opening. 1, we're going to do 5 total along the bottom here. So that's 3, 4, and 5. And that completes row 2. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. Okay, now for row 3, we're going to place 5 single crochet across. That brings us to the 2 end stitches. And remember, we place an increase in both of those. So that's 2 single crochet in each one. That's 2 in that one, and now let's place 2 in in this one. Okay, and now we're going down the other side. So 1 single crochet in each stitch. Should be 5. 4, oops, 4, and 5. Okay, so that's the middle of our second petal done. All right, so now we're going to do the final row, which is where we add the 3 half double crochet in each stitch. So go ahead and chain 1 and turn. 3 half double crochet in every stitch, and that will complete our second petal. So that's 3, that's the first stitch worked. That's 2. Oops. That is the third stitch. So we're at 9 half double crochets now total for this row. brings us to the other side of the petal. Okay, now we're just working down the other side. Stitches left to go. 1, 2, 3. Last one. That one's the tricky one sometimes. Just gotta wiggle it in there. 2 and 3. Okay, so now you can see that we've created 2 petals. And they're conveniently joined, which is going to make our job at the end so much easier. Okay, so you're going to continue these steps. So go back to row 1 where you chain 6. Don't cut your yarn here, just chain 6 again. Work your 3rd petal, then you'll do the same thing for the 4th and 5th. Then when we get all 5 petals completed, we'll move on to the middle portion of the flower. Okay, I am just about done with the 5th petal. I've got the last stitch here to work, so I'm going to place 3 half double crochets in that last stitch. And this is what your project should look like so far. 5 petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all connected. Worked one right after the other without cutting the yarn. So now we are going to go ahead and cut the yarn, but we want to leave a long tail for attaching it at the end. And then you want to go ahead and finish the project off. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and we're going to move on to the center of the flower. So you want to take one of your pipe cleaners, and you also want to get one of your center beads. Alright, now if you've looked at a hibiscus, you know that the very end has the little knobs. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend our pipe cleaner almost in half, but you want to off-center it just a bit, maybe about here, and you want to fold it all the way in half like that. Okay, then you want to kind of use your thumb and move down about 1 inch from the top, and kind of use your thumbnail to hold that spot right there, and then you just want to twist. And I twisted a good 4 or 5 times. Just to secure that. Okay, so that's our first knob. Okay. Now you want to take the longer side and you want to make another bend or another loop, about like that. Again, you want to use your thumb to kind of hold that spot and twist. Okay, so now we have 2 knobs. And this one, I feel like we bent it maybe just a tad too much. So I'm going to try to stick my tapestry needle in there and open it back up a little bit. See if that works. There we go. There. Just so it has more of a circular shape. Not quite so ovally. Okay, So again, you want to take the longer edge. This one's slightly longer still. And this time you want to, don't bend it right here where it would be side by side. You want to kind of place it right here alongside these two, about in the middle of it. So you want to kind of turn it a little bit. Bring that one up right there, kind of where it's right in between those two. Bend it down like that, and then twist. Okay, so you should be left with 3 knobbies, just like that, and that will be the end of your flower. Go ahead and twist that one more time. Okay, so now you want to take your beads, and on a actual flower, the round parts, I believe they're the stamens, they're not right up on the end. They're somewhat about maybe right here on the pistil of the flower. So what you want to do is bring these two together, place your beads where you want them, and I try and finagle them or manipulate them to where they're balanced. My particular cluster, if you look at it, I'll pull it out again, has 3 loops. 1, 2, and 3, if you can see that. So I try to, for instance, I don't want them just stuck here and then like on the other side you can't see them. So what I do is I try to separate the loops so that it appears that there are stamens on every side of the flower. So this might take a little bit of work. Just kind of have to move them around, manipulate them a little bit. This one, I think I will take the end of this pipe cleaner and put it actually through that loop and there. Now, when I close the tails and turn it from all sides, it appears that there's stamens all the way around. Okay, so now you want to take right underneath the beads and you want to just gently twist the 2 red portions around to secure it. So one's going to be shorter, and that's okay. Just keep twisting them around. Like so. I'm going to try to cover up all the white so that it appears that it's completely red. Okay? Okay, now what I do is I just fold, and I don't know how yours will be, mine's pretty long, so I just fold this end up here, just kind of thread it back up through there to secure that end. Just kind of work it through a couple of those twisted sections until it feels like it's pretty secure, and then you can twist that as well to secure it. Okay, so that's your center. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and set that down, set that aside, and I'm going to grab my petals. So we're going to take the long end. I'm just going to kind of lay them all out here where we can see them. You want to take your tapestry needle, thread the long end onto your tapestry needle. Okay, and then starting here with the petal that it's attached to, it's already attached to this corner. If you look at the petal, it's got, I like to divide it into 3 sections mentally. So it's got this corner, the middle, and this corner. So we're basically just going to take our tail and work it through each of those parts of every petal. Now it's already attached to this corner, so I'm not going to do anything extra there. I'm going to take it and thread it through the middle, there, pull it up, and then I'm going to go through corner here. So basically just a down, up, almost like a basting stitch. And then just pull it tight at the end of each one. That'll kind of close off the edge of the petal. Okay, then as you go, this is really important so that you get the look of the flower right. If you look at a hibiscus, each petal overlaps the one next to it. So when you do the next one, you want to make sure that you're overlapping the right petal over the left, or you could do the left over the right. I think it's easier to do it this way. So it's already attached to that corner, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of lay it here, and then take my yarn, and again we're going to go through the center, and try not to get your yarn all twisted around the petals, and then pull that tight. And you can see that it's closing it up. Now you want to take and go through the corner here, which is the very end stitch. Go under both loops and pull that tight. Okay, so we're making sure that the right one overlaps the left one. So now we're turning to the next petal. This is now my right petal here. So I want to make sure the left petal goes under it. And I'm going to take my working yarn and go through the middle of the third one and pull. Okay, it's starting to form the shape of a flower, so now we're going to go in through the corner of that one under both loops and pull. Okay, now let's move on to the fourth flower or petal. Make sure the left one is under the right one. Take your yarn, thread through the middle, and pull. And then go through the corner under both loops and pull. Okay, and we have one left. Okay, so before we do that one though, because I don't want our opening to close up, go ahead and set your needle down. Take your center, position it where you want it, and you can see you've got this little opening here where all the other petals have started cinching together. Position it where you want it. They're fairly long in real life, so it's okay if it's sticking out quite a ways from the flower, and you can go back and you'll have a little bit of slack to maneuver it more if you need to. Just kind of place it in there where you want it. Pick your needle back up. Thread through the middle of the last petal. This is one of those projects where you need an extra pair of hands, I think. Let me make sure I'm going into the right spot here. This is the one with the other tail, so it's slightly confusing. Okay, I think I'm going to go in right there. And then we're going to pull that. Okay, and then we're going to grab the corner. Okay. Now we're going to pull it all the way around to the petal that we started with. Alright, so again, this is my right petal. I want to put right over left. I'm going to put my needle down. Make sure that you have the right one, because as they start getting twisted around, it gets hard to see where you started. They start curling on top of one another. Alright, hold on, let me just look at it. Okay, so right here is where we want to go. I'm going to put that back in there. Take my needle and work it into that opposite corner. Then you're going to pull tight and make sure your center is where you want it to be. And that secures your petals around the center. And then you can just fix your petals how you want them to be. And there. You have created a crocheted hibiscus flower. All right, so now what you'll do is you'll just turn it around onto the back, or underneath side I should say, and you'll take the yarn off of the tapestry needle and you'll just tie a few knots with that very beginning tail. Now I like to use surgeon's knots when I'm tying off things. Okay, so you want to take your two tails for a surgeon's knot, overlap at once, pull through as if to tie a regular knot, but then you just do that one more time. That's a surgeon's knot. So you basically pull it through twice, and that just makes it a little tighter when you cinch it down. All right, so that's one. I like to do two surgeon's knots, so I'm going to do that again. And pull tight. Okay, then you'll weave in your ends, and you'll be all done, and it'll be ready to sew onto. You'll have this nice long tail to attach it to any project. Now, this flower was made in conjunction with Ashley of A Crafty Concept, her wall hanger. So I made a pineapple modification to her wall hanger, and I've attached it to that. Now, this will give you an idea of how to attach it onto a project. I'm going to flip it onto the back here. I took this part right here, and I just kind of laid it up against where I was going to sew it, and I took my tails and I just whip stitched around that stick, and that's what's holding it onto this particular project. And there you have it. So I hope you guys enjoy this project. This flower can be used for so many things. You can create little pins, you could create a headband. I mean, the possibilities really are endless. So I'd love to see you guys get super creative with this one. If you use this tutorial to make a hibiscus flower or a whole bouquet or whatever you end up doing, please tag me on Instagram and Facebook. I would love to see your makes, and make sure you hashtag me. At the Plush Pineapple is my tag, hashtag the Plush Pineapple. I'm sorry, at the Plush Pineapple is my handle, and then hashtag the Plush Pineapple is a tag you can use. And if you use one of my tags or you tag me, I will feature you in my stories or maybe even in my feed. So I would love to see what you guys create.